Do I even need to point out what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with the image on screen right now? Well, if you don't, let me point it out. If you take a look on the left here, you will see that the next episode will come out on May 6th, aka next week. That means that another episode of Please Put Them On has been delayed with no official statement, no transparency, no comment from Crunchyroll, just straight up delayed, and once again, as we all know, the episode is coming out a-okay on time tomorrow, because there would already be an announcement for it, so that means that, theoretically, people that are very interested in Please Put Them On are going to go through other alternative means to continue watching the show if they're avid fans of the story. And I'm just like, when I see this situation, this is why people hate Crunchyroll. This is why people think Crunchyroll hates them. There is a lot of reasons to really come to that conclusion, and you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm going to be completely unfiltered. I'm not gonna probably gain a lot of brownie points with Crunchyroll or anyone that works with them thanks to this video, but you know what? Enough is enough. I am just legitimately tired of stuff like this. So, let's pull up this. I made this earlier just to kind of get the point across, so I can get my bullet points together, and this is only some of the stuff I could think of on top of my head, and not including vast other stuff that just is slipping my mind at the moment. So what you're seeing on the screen here is what Crunchyroll has done in just the last few years. To start off, they've removed the entire comment section to silence customers. We've seen that. You literally cannot comment on episodes anymore on their platform. Removes the ability to comment on news articles. For instance, if you go to the news section of Crunchyroll and you want to comment on an article, or you want to point out maybe there's an inaccuracy or misinformation or whatever, you no longer can do that. Crunchyroll doesn't want to hear it. Then they have horrendous subtitles, which is very true. I talked about this when ReZero Season 3 was airing. I talked about how there was constant mistranslations, and this was just a series that was relatively popular. Imagine anime on their site that is not as popular, that goes slightly under the radar. Most likely those subtitles are absolutely horrendous because there's not a lot of, like, microscopes on them to really analyze the said subtitles. So, horrendous subtitles on top of that. And I want to remind people, Crunchyroll is a company that is meant to license said anime and translate them with subtitles. So I want to point that out. Their main job description is to subtitle things, but they do a bad job at that. Continuing on, we have dubs that change the meaning of the series. One really very good example is Maid Dragon. Very horrendous, absolutely terrible, but there's other examples out there that they have done over the years, but Maid Dragon is a very big one with a very horrendous dub that has changed the meaning of anime, and it's just not a good look whatsoever. Then stealing a fan mail. As we all know, there was a very prominent actor, voice actor within the industry that came out about probably 5 months ago, maybe 6 months at this point in time, that basically said that all their mail that they were supposedly supposed to receive for the last 5 years never came to them because Crunchyroll was grabbing their mail and spreading it around the office, unaware to the actual voice actor, which is wild stuff. Stealing a fan mail. They didn't really even try to address that officially, by the way. Then, you know, I covered this last year. Crunchyroll wanted to focus on TikTok trends or make anime for the TikTok generation, aka shorter anime that may be only a minute long or so to really hit the brain-rotten minds of TikTok, basically. So, yeah, we have stuff like that. Crunchyroll wanting to focus on trends of TikTok. Then we have them raising subscription prices. FYI, they raised their subscription price last year after all these controversies, or prior to controversies as well, and it's like their service continuously goes down in the toilet bowl, but they're deciding that they can raise the prices, which I'll get into that in a second. They have no transparency to customers on any problems, which is, very true. I mean, the recent example of, you know, Please Put Them On is a good example of this, that anytime there is an issue or a random delay, they give next to no explanation. It's very silent, and it's just not a good look, because if Crunchyroll was legitimately more transparent and just straight up said, look, man, we're not censoring things, you know, it's just a licensing issue, maybe they didn't receive the episode in time, people would be willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, some would still remain negative towards them, but it would be a lot better than just being completely radio silent, because it gives people the wrong impression and allows narratives to be spread and allows people to talk about things in a negative light. And in this case, that's what people are going to assume. I mean, myself included. It's like when you delay a show with literally no explanation and then you give us a censored version of it, it's just like, obviously people are going to draw the conclusion you delayed the anime just to get a censored version. You may not inherently be censoring the show, but you're going out of your way to delay it with no explanation to get a censored version. And it's just like, why do that? Especially when you've already given a product that was uncensored for like the first 2 episodes. Which, by the way, I did not watch episode 4 on Crunchyroll that also released last week, which that was a continuation of what I talked about in the, the new episode was announced. From what I've heard conflicting reports about episode 4 on Crunchyroll, that it is apparently censored but not censored. I don't know. I watched it on a completely different site because I've given up trying to watch this series on Crunchyroll. There's no point at this point in time because it's like the fact that you have just these random delays, there is no business you should watch this show on their platform. And I advocate for legal watching, don't get me wrong, but when you have a company that continuously just delays things out of no reason, you have no reason given whatsoever besides them apparently wanting to censor it, and the show comes out on the given date when it's supposed to come out, aka tomorrow, it's a no-brainer why people go out of their way to pirate it. Just, I'm going to be completely blunt. Anyways, continuing on down, we also have, delays anime to censor, or to get censored version. Kind of already talked about this with Takamine. Site crashes with any anime with hype. This is a very good example. Anytime there is any form of somewhat hype episode, like a recent example is Soul Leveling, the entire site of Crunchyroll just crashes, which is... there is a double-sided sword to this. It means that the series is popular, but it also is pretty embarrassing, as Crunchyroll as a platform cannot have their actual servers operate to a good capacity to not crash, because it's like, it's okay if it crashes every so often. But the fact that there's any hype episode that ever happens and the site just completely goes down, invest in your servers. You're one of the only companies that has anime on your platform. Why the hell do you not have, like, a better server? People come to you for anime, legally speaking. So it's just like, why is their servers so garbage? And you have these pirate sites that actually have better servers for whatever reason. That's wild stuff to me. It actually is pretty wild. Continuing on, they have a stranglehold on the entire anime industry in the West. This is very true. I have made multiple videos on this topic, with Sony buying up Crunchyroll, Funimation, Right Stuff, and a bunch of other things and stuff going on with Kadokawa, and as I've talked about, I see in the future maybe them trying to buy Viz Media. It's only a matter of time, but basically, Crunchyroll, they have a stranglehold on the entire market. They do, and there's only a few things that really can fight back against them. High Dive is a good example, but they're in a very losing battle at this point. And then you obviously have Netflix and Disney, but to be completely fair, Netflix and Disney aren't hyper-focused on anime. So, Crunchyroll is basically the big main monopoly of anime in the West. So their stranglehold is damaging, especially when you list all these problems prior to this, that they don't need to necessarily change anything because people will have to buy from them if they want to legally watch it or make it convenient. But to be fair, Crunchyroll is making it very inconvenient to continue to be a subscriber. Then they wonder why people pirate. And this is the big question that, I'm going to pop up for all of you. Why do you pirate anime? Because I know there's a lot of people that watch me that will legally watch anime, but I know there is a lot of people that will sell the high seas. And I am not going to get on a moral high ground and act like you shouldn't, okay? That's not my place. I'm just going to be honest with you. There's multiple reasons why people pirate, either because maybe Crunchyroll is not in your region, and there is no legal way to be able to even watch anime or read manga, or maybe it's because the subscription price is just outrageous. There is multiple reasons. Maybe they'll offer an anime that you want, but it's, not available in your country or something. There's a lot of different things, but the main point I'm getting at is that Crunchyroll hates its customers. It's become clear as day in these last few months, this past year especially, that they do not want to hear their customers. They don't want to hear their customer complaints. They want to silence you in every single way, and it's obviously been a very apparent thing ever since they turned off the comment section thanks to one episode of an anime that had a little bit of a controversial topic within it, and it's like they removed it from their entire site. They just don't want to hear you. They don't want to hear your voice. They want you to just give them money, remain silent, and take the punches in the face. That's what they want. And they wonder why people pirate. They wonder why people are choosing to pirate more than often, because they do stuff like this. It's just like, this is inexcusable. I don't like this, and I'm just gonna say, it's possible this is an error. It's a possibility that maybe the episode will come out on time tomorrow on Crunchyroll. Maybe this is just a scheduling error on their site. It's always a genuine possibility. But it doesn't change the fact that this is happening again, or appears to be with no explanation. It's been here all day long as well. And then they have this random stuff that happened with episode 3 and episode 4. I don't trust this site anymore. I really don't. I mean, I haven't for a while, and I've been very transparent about the reason why I use the site. The only reason why I use Crunchyroll, and I'm going to be completely blunt, is because it's a tax write-off. I, use it for my taxes. I'm going to be honest with you. Why wouldn't I? I mean, that's why I use the platform. But I'm going to be honest with you, if you're an average individual that just watches anime, I see no reason, honestly, as a customer, to even get this product. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's bad. It's really bad. They do a very terrible job in every single way almost. There's only very few times they don't, and it's just disrespectful, man. It is very disrespectful to the customers. They hate their customers. They want to silence you. That's basically what it is. I'll leave it at that. A little bit of a ramble / angry rant because, you know, seeing this again for another episode, it's just, no, I'm done, man. They screwed up a lot of stuff in the last anime season with ReZero, and then now they're doing this with, like, Please Put Them On. I've had enough, man, and it's just been a back-to-back thing, to stealing a fan mail, to mistreatment of voice actors, to just, like, horrendous subtitles, horrendous dubs, to just site crashing, removal of comment section, removal of comments on news articles. It's just back-to-back bad things, man. And that's not including other stuff that, like I said at the beginning of this video, that is slipping my mind. It's a no-brainer why people are choosing piracy, and it's a no-brainer why people think Crunchyroll hate them and don't want to hear them when they do stuff like this continuously. If Crunchyroll decided to be more transparent and actually be, you know, I guess not disingenuous all the time, then I think that people would actually come to respect them more. But the fact that they never offer any explanation and they just remain completely silent, it is distancing themselves from their audience continuously as time goes on, and it's only going to get worse. It will get worse, and I'm just going to say it right now. You can read the writing on the wall. There is a lot of animosity towards the company. It's damaged goods at this point, and it keeps getting worse because they just don't know how to properly communicate with their customers. But I'll leave it at that, though. I love you guys. You have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe. Stay healthy. Chibi out.